Today, I woke up in a world without Charlie Kirk. And I'd like to say my heart is broken. He was an American star, and now his light has been snuffed out. And I believe that it was done, maybe not the shooter, but the people who ordered him to shoot, maybe paid him to shoot, had an anti-American agenda, a globalist agenda. This was very similar yesterday, was very similar to the day in 1964 when our president, John F. Kennedy, was shot and killed. He had his head blown off, and for years the news media refused to show that footage. The footage of Charlie being murdered was shown all over social media right away. I saw a copy of it as he died without anything blurred out. And that's one difference between then and now. Another thing is, I grew up in a staunchly Republican stronghold in Tustin, California, upper middle class neighborhood where everybody was Republican and everybody hated the Kennedys. I didn't know why, because I was only 6 years old, but I remember them bad-mouthing the Kennedys on the day the president was shot to death. My mother came into the room and said, "Do you know who President Kennedy is?" And I said, yes, because my teacher had just mentioned him a couple of days earlier, not saying anything bad or good, just mentioned that he was president. And my mother was in tears and said, "He's been shot." And that was the moment this sadness came over me, that came over everybody. It spread throughout the nation, just like the murder of Charlie Kirk spread yesterday. And Kennedy was not my mother's candidate of choice, but she had enough class and respect for other people and their opinion to honor President Kennedy as her president. That's how it was back then. And we didn't have social media, but even so, we didn't have anybody cheering because the president was shot just because they didn't agree with him. We were still united as a country, and we were all patriots, and we were all Americans. And so we supported the man who stood for this. As it turned out, Roger Stone says it was Lyndon B. Johnson, the man who succeeded him as president, because he was up to his neck in organized crime in Texas regarding radio stations, and Kennedy and his brother Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s father, were going out to extinguish organized crime. And so that's why they had to take him out, because Johnson was panicking. Roger Stone wrote a book about it. He was an insider at the time in Washington, D.C., and I believe him. After all the conspiracy theories, blah, 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 I believe Roger Stone. It is just a shame. There were so many young people on social media sticking their tongues out, giving the Satanist sign, cheering, laughing, having a great time because a wife and 2 little children are now without their husband and father, who was killed for nothing other than being a patriot and standing up for America. It is really disgusting that we have come to this, and the parents of those kids ought to be ashamed. If it were up to me, they'd be in jail for raising subversives like that. Those young people are straight from hell. For a few years, I was a member of the LDS Church, and what the leaders would say is Satan is making inroads. And isn't that the truth? Charlie Kirk influenced the younger generation to be conservatives, and the globalists can't have that. The globalists straight from hell can't have that, because that'll ruin their agenda, and they're counting on the younger generation to join them in globalism, which will no doubt lead to a loss of our freedom and rights and control over our own lives. What a shame. We have dumb, ignorant lunatics that would participate in the celebration of the death of America's shining star. They are sick. They are possessed. And let me tell you, I've been around for 66 years. And I can tell you, we did not have people who were possessed like that when God influenced our society. It is the lack of God that allowed Satan to make inroads. And it is a horrible thing to see, because at this point, I don't see how America has a chance long term. And that's all I have to say. If you really want a good take on this, watch Dinesh D'Souza's channel with guest Peter Schweitzer. He really has some outstanding words to say. Thank you for watching.